I had a 4.0 too. I got a 1.0 as a freshman, a 1.0 as a sophomore. If you add all four together, it's a 4.0, isn't it? Congratulations, that's really special. You're going to go to KU. How many Rock Chalk fans here? How many Mizzou fans here? Well, I had a daughter that went to Mizzou. She got a degree in journalism and she loved it. She told me she was going to go to Mizzou. I said, there's no way. Nobody from this family goes to Mizzou. She said, Dad, Mom said she'd write the checks. So she went to Mizzou, got a degree in journalism, and is having a great career. So I'm not going to speak very long because I don't want to bore you. But how many business owners are in the room? Actually, business owners. And how many people want to be a business owner? Want to be a business owner? No wannabes? None? Well, good, because I was going to tell you were crazy. So I grew up in Boston. No reactions to that? Sorry? I'm not a Patriot fan. I left when I was 17 years old to go to KU. I played football for 8 days. I couldn't play there. I went to Coach Fanbro and I said, I don't think I could play here. He said, no, we think we overvaluated you. I said, so what's that mean? He said, well, you're going to hold the dummies for 4 years. I said, I'm not holding dummies for 4 years. So I borrowed a car from a kid that I knew for 2 days. I drove to Ottawa, Kansas to see a friend of mine who was on the baseball team. And the football coach saw me and said, why don't you play here? I said, I have no money. He said, I'll get the money. So I called my dad. I said, I'm going to leave KU and go to Ottawa. He said, you can go to Canada? I said, no, Dad, Ottawa, Kansas. My dad came out for the first game, and he said, Carl, there's 750 people in the stands. You played in front of 7,000, 8,000. Is this intramural football? I said, Dad, put the helmet on. You go see how those guys hit. So I played at Ottawa 4 years, started every game for 4 years. Some games I played both ways. So it was good enough to play NAIA football, but not good enough to play Division I. And Kansas was not very good back then either, so it was still not very good. So I got my degree and I wanted to coach really badly. And so I got my first coaching job at a place called Wetmore, Kansas. Ever heard of that place? North of Topeka, about 50 miles in the Sabetha School District. I think I was the only applicant for the job. I tried to go back to Boston to find a job, and there were no jobs back there. So I came back out here and I became the head coach at Wetmore High School in football, basketball, and track. I taught American history, government, speech, health, and phys ed, so I prepped 5 classes a day and coached 3 sports. And they had not won a football game in 3 years. And we won 1, and they really liked me. Basketball, they had not won a game in 4. We won 3, and they loved me. So I'll tell you one basketball story. Powhatan High School is an Indian school on the Indian reservation. Pat McAfee was head coach, and he knew I was brand new. He called me and he said, Coach, we're going to come down to Wetmore and play you in basketball next week. I was wondering if we could take our shoes off, because our kids are used to running around, without shoes. So I'm thinking that's probably good for me, because I'll teach my kids how to step on their feet and we'll beat them. Well, I didn't know they were the state champions the year before. I didn't know how good they were. They beat us by 40. 40, high school basketball, 8-minute quarters. I think we scored 12. So then it's time to go up to his place. So I called the Kansas State Athletic Activities Association of Topeka, Bryce Durbin, and I said, what are the rules on uniforms? He said, Pat McAfee called you, didn't he? I said, yes, he did. He said, he calls every new coach. He said, Carl, everybody wears a jersey, a jock strap, shorts, socks, and shoes. And nobody takes them off. If they do, that's a technical foul. So make sure he wears everything. So we went up there, and I devised a plan to hold the ball. Before there was a shot clock, 2 officials, not 3, and the score at half was 4-2. We were ahead, 4-2. We held the ball for 4 minutes one time. Just passed it back and forth. So the second half starts, and they get the tip, and they score, and they tie up 4-4, and they beat us 8-4. And as I'm leaving the locker room, I'm happy for my kids. It's the closest we're going to get all year. We're not going to win any games. The parents are out the front door of the locker room. They said, Coach, we'll buy you a plane ticket back to Boston if you'll go tonight. I said, what do you mean? He said, that's not basketball. I said, that's as close as we're going to get, guys. These were 5 white kids. I didn't have a kid over 6 feet tall. We couldn't jump, we couldn't dribble, we couldn't shoot. We didn't win a game. So, long story short, they needed someone to speak at graduation. They had no money. So guess who that was? That was me. In a gymnasium with farmers and rangers with cowboy hats on, big belt buckles, cowboy boots with cow crap on the bottom of them. And my principal came to me and said, if you're going to do this, I'm going to write the speech and you're going to say it word for word. Because if you're up on stage in this gymnasium, and you start talking about college to these 13 kids, these 13 graduates, you're not going to be booed off the stage, you'll be shot off the stage. Because these kids are going to go home, have some cake and some punch, get on tractor for the rest of their life, and that's going to be their life. So I got there and I said the speech word for word that my principal wrote for me. So I left at the end of the year, and I went to Topeka High School as a assistant football coach, assistant basketball coach. You talk about going from the frying pan to the fire. That was back when the black kids and Mexican kids hated each other, and they didn't shoot with guns, but they fought between classes every single day. I had to be out of that hallway and break up fights all the time. I lasted for 2 years. Then I went to Washburn University and coached football for 5 years as an assistant. I was head women's basketball coach for 3 years. We were really good at basketball. It was not the coaching, it was good players. So at the end of my 5th year, the athletic director got us together and he said, I'm going to fire the whole staff. We had a lot of success, but the head football coach, his name was Larry Elliott, the head basketball coach, who was Glenn Kafer, decided to switch wives. Washburn is a city university, owned by the city of Topeka. That was not going to go over well. So he fired us all. So I got a call from Xerox and he said, why don't you try selling copiers? I said, selling copiers? I don't like salespeople, I don't want to be one. So he said, have a cup of coffee with me. So I had a cup of coffee with this guy. He was a former basketball coach, and he said, try this in the summer. June, July, August, you make a lot of money. If you hate it, go back and coach in the fall. I made so much money I couldn't go back. Make $30,000 in 3 months in the summer, a pretty good summer job. So I stayed there for 2 years and learned the copier business. I didn't like Xerox, it was too big of a company for me. They didn't like me because I didn't go by the rules very much. So 60 days into working for Xerox, I get a call from my boss and he said, it's Friday afternoon, I want you to go home an hour early. Monday morning, I want you to go to Lawrence, Kansas, and I want you to make 40 cold calls in Lawrence, Kansas. I want you to bring me back 40 business cards. I want you to write on the back of the business card what kind of copier they have, when a contract comes up for renewal, and bring it back to me Monday night, and we'll go through the list. The first call I made at 8 o'clock in the morning, I got kicked out of the office. I walked in, there was a beautiful girl behind the desk. I was single at the time, kind of, talking to her a little bit. The veterinarian who owned the place came around the corner and said, get out of my office, never come back. So I left. I called my girlfriend and I said, Debbie, do you want to go to lunch? She said, yeah. I said, well, I'll see you at the cornucopia on Massachusetts Avenue in about 15 minutes. She said, Carl, it's 8:15. I don't start lunch until 11:30. So I said, okay. So I sat in that park in downtown Lawrence for 3 hours, and I hated what I was doing. And I said, I'm going to quit. I don't like this. I don't like getting kicked out of an office. I only made one call. Met Debbie 11:30, and she said, are you a quitter? I said, I guess I am. About that time, here comes the vet into the restaurant. He's looking around, and I'm thinking, oh, he's not done with me. Came up to my table, and he said, I owe you an apology. I said, what do you mean? He said, my wife of 30 years last night asked me for a divorce. And you're the first guy I saw this morning, and I just had to reach out to somebody and lash out, and he did. So what do you do? I said, I sell Xerox copiers. He said, come and see me this afternoon. I'm thinking about getting a new machine. Now that's luck. I went to see him at 2 o'clock, sold him a brand new copier, $13,000. It's back when you could make some money selling copiers. And I made about 10 calls that afternoon, went back to Kansas City, went back to Topeka to meet with Jack Goodson, my boss. He said, how was your day? I said, it was pretty good. He said, well, you only made 20 calls. I said, yeah, but I sold a machine. He said, you can't sell a machine. I said, Jack, you gave me the paperwork. You gave me the price list. I sold a machine. He said, how did you do this? I said, well, it's a long story, and I'll tell you sometime, but if I would not have sold that machine that day, I would quit that afternoon, and I would be back in coaching and probably not have any money in my pocket. So I stayed at Xerox less than 2 years, got recruited by a company called Savin. They moved us to San Antonio, Texas. I got married in between that time. And I adopted my wife's son, who is now 41 years old. He was 4 at the time, developmentally disabled, autistic, OCD, still autistic OCD. I like what you do, girl. And this guy's been my son for 37 years. Great family. From San Antonio, I woke up one morning and I said, I was in Pampa, Texas. Anybody ever been to West Texas? It's god-awful. It's awful. They love when you come out there because they don't get much company. So it's like, roll out the red carpet, have some food. So I'm in Pampa, and I call my wife and I said, I can't do this. I said, I get here at 7 o'clock in the morning, calling on these dealers, helping them sell copiers. The owner comes in at 9:30 driving a Mercedes. I'm driving a Volkswagen Rabbit. And I got to get off the road. This is killing me. I go home on Thursday night with a bag full of dirty clothes. And she said, hey, let's go to dinner. I said, Michelle, I've been to dinner 4 nights this week. I don't want to go to dinner again. I want you to make me a meal. Guess what we did? We went to dinner. So I saw an ad in a newspaper, a trade magazine, about a company that was for sale in Aransas Pass, Texas. Anybody ever been there? It's right outside of Corpus Christi. It's the shrimp capital of the world, they claim. I drove down to see this guy, and he said, I want to finance this company for you, but you got to buy it next week. So I said, you got a deal. So I buy this company, 4 employees, and moved the family down to Aransas Pass, Texas, which is awful. And took over this company, and they had no money and not any really good customers. And about 6 weeks in, I went home for lunch. I never ever go home for lunch, ever, because I'm busy. And I said to Shelley, I don't think we're going to make it down here. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, we got payroll on Friday. It's Tuesday, and we have no money. She said, oh boy. So I said, what do you think? She said, well, I got this mentally retarded kid, Nick, who's now 6, and I found out this morning I'm pregnant. So guess what? Eat your sandwich, get your ass back to work, because you had no choice. Now, women don't talk to me like that, but this one does, and has for 37 years. So I don't ever go home for lunch again, ever. So now it's time for me to go find some money. So I go to 17 banks in South Texas, from Houston all the way down to Harlingen in the valley. I got turned down 17 times. So those of you that didn't raise your hand and want to own companies, don't do that. That was when interest rates were 18%, and I couldn't get anybody to loan me money at 18%. Where's the country club bank guy?
19%.
I know. So I found a guy, and he said, Carl, I'm going to loan you $50,000. I'm going to tell you something. In South Texas, we don't sue people for not paying their bills. We come to your office with a knife, and we start cutting. I know what he meant. He got paid the first day of every single month on time, because I didn't want him to come to my office with a knife. So 5 years later, I brought him a check for $5 million when I sold the company. One morning, I drove to the office. We just bought a brand new building. It was an automobile repair shop and tire place. It had the lifts, in them. And I had to take the lifts out because the EPA said didn't get them out. It cost me a fortune to do that. And there's a guy in my parking lot at 6:30, and I said, my guys never come to work at 6:30 in the morning. So I get out of my car, and this guy said, hey, can I get a cup of coffee? I said, yeah, the coffee shop's down the street. He said, no, I'm gonna have a cup of coffee with you, Carl. I said, no, I don't know who you are. He said, well, I know who you are. I said, what are you doing here? He said, well, I want to talk about selling your company to me. I said, who are you? He said, I'm with a company called Danka. We just bought a company in Houston, and we want to buy one in Corpus Christi. I said, well, this is not for sale. It's not ready for sale. We still owe a bunch of money, and it's not grown to where I wanted. It was $4 million, almost $5 million in sales. He said, let me have a cup of coffee with you. So I went inside, and he said, I've talked to your managers, and I've talked to your wife, and she really wants to go back to Kansas. I said, you talked to my wife? He said, yeah. I said, I wanted to do my homework before I came here. I said, well, she didn't mention this to me. He said, well, I talked to her twice. And I said, okay, so what's going on here? He said, I'd like you to bring your staff together at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Let's just talk a little bit. So brought them together at 3 o'clock, and the guy said to me, you are too involved in this business. You cause us grief. When we say no to our people, they go down the hall to you, and you say yes, you make us look bad. So we're either going to leave or you're going to sell the company. So I said to Shelley, what do you think? And she said, well, let's talk about it tonight. I said, well, let's talk about it now. So we talked about it a little bit, and that night at 6 o'clock, I said, what do you want to do? She said, I want to go back to Kansas. Oh, shit. So you guys remember Jerry Cohen, who owned EDE, Electronic Business Equipment, 15th brand? Jerry was a wonderful man, $25 million company, making no money. I came up and became the president of that company, president of Danka for the Midwest. And it was a place where if you got a job with Jerry, you were there for life. And whether you could sell or not, or whether you could service equipment or not, it didn't matter. So I took over the company. Shelley's happy because she's back home. She's from Iola, Kansas. Anybody ever been to Iola? It's another god-awful place. And so we lived in Overland Park, and bought a house in Deer Creek, and she was really happy, and I was struggling because we had 400 employees, and I had to get rid of 200 of them. in 90 days because we weren't making any money. And Danka was all about making money. So for 7 years I did that for Danka. They paid me really well, and we did really very well in town. We built the company to $60 million in sales, made 20 points to the pre-tax line, which means they were making $12 million a year, and they fired me on a Saturday morning at the Hilton Hotel by the airport. And I'm driving home, and my wife called me and she said, "So you got fired?" I said, "How do you know this? I just had breakfast with these guys." She said, "Well, Dan Doyle, the president of Danka, called and said not to worry about the check he owes you. He'd write it on Monday, overnight it, and he'd have it on Tuesday." So I didn't tell her what the check was for, but it was a contract, because I wasn't going to move my family from Corpus Christi, Texas to Kansas City without some sort of contract. So the contract was going to be money. So let her open the envelope. It was a big check. So I didn't know what to do. So Dan calls me on Wednesday and he said, I don't want you to leave the company. I said, "What do you mean? You fired me yesterday." He said, "No, I didn't. Paul did." He said, "I bought Kodak's copier division. I want you to run that for me for the next 2 years. I have to travel 1 week a month to New York." Which I did. So I stayed 2 more years. And when he let me go the second time, he gave me a severance package, which was nice. And I started another company called ABS, Alternative Business Systems. I started in Nebraska because I had a non-compete. I had an office in Kearney, Nebraska, Lincoln, Omaha, Council Bluffs, Iowa, Kansas City. I put 600 copiers on the campuses of University of Nebraska, Lincoln, Omaha, UNO, and UNMC, UNKC. Biggest account we ever had. They spent $4 million a year with us. And in 7 years, I built that company. But before I did that, I bought 3 companies in downtown North Kansas City. Do you remember North Kansas City Business Machines and R&M Copiers? And there was one more. I bought 3 little ones, and I brought it together and made Kansas City, because when the non-compete was over, that day, I opened up Kansas City. And 10 years ago, I sold that company to Konica Minolta for a lot of money, more than what we sold the one in Texas for. So I'm telling you this because owning businesses today is tough. It's painful. You can never get it out of your head. I've been awake since 3 o'clock this morning worrying about a couple of deals we're trying to close this afternoon. It's rewarding. I'll tell you, when we left South Texas, having to sit down with those 35 employees and tell them we were leaving was painful. A lot of tears. They believed in me. They believed in Shelley. We gave them great jobs, and that we're leaving behind with somebody they didn't know. They didn't know Konica Minolta. Our partner Danka. And Danka treated him pretty well for a couple of years, and it kind of fell apart a little bit. Up here in Kansas City, telling those people I had sold the company to Konica Minolta, I flew into Omaha on a Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, told the Omaha people, drove to Lincoln, told the Lincoln people, and had to fly to Kansas City in a small plane with one of my guys to tell the Kansas City people. I want them all to know at the same time we sold the company. And that was very painful, meeting those people, because they were really good to me. Now I'm with SumnerOne, and I compete against those folks. And I'll tell you, they've gotten over it. Because they beat the piss out of me from time to time. And I hate it, but I don't like losing. So I'm 65 years old. My wife thinks I'm crazy when I got out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning to go downstairs and read the paper and do some emailing. There's a young lady in the back that runs our office at Lighting, but she gets emails at 4:30 in the morning and thinks this guy must be crazy. Have you gotten it at 4 o'clock in the morning? Leads. I'm a believer in helping people achieve their goals. I'm a believer in helping you achieve your goals. When I read the paper and I see an ad like I saw this morning for a roofing job, I sent it to JR Roofing. Does anybody know JR Roofing? Very good company. So 3 years ago, I sent them a lead down in Clinton, Missouri. They went down, they want a bid to do the courthouse re-roof for $65,000. They said, "Why'd you do that?" I said, "I liked you guys." They were not a customer yet. 2 weeks later, they called me and said, "We need to buy a couple copiers, and I'd like to buy them from you." So I went over there, we sold them, first call, didn't have to work for it, wasn't competitive. I called them and I said, "I bought a house at Cedar Creek in Olathe and I need a roof in a week. Can you do it?" They said, "Well, it's December 15th, it's snowing and raining. We'll get it done." So they got it done, we bought the house, everything was good. They called me a couple weeks later and said, "We need more equipment." So I sold another $100,000 worth of equipment, and now I give leads all the time, just back and forth. So if you want leads from me, because I'm looking for them all the time, and I have lots of sources, let me know what you do for a living. There's a lady back there that has a litigation company, and we met today, and we're gonna meet next week and do some stuff. I told you about our meeting with Country Club Bank this morning, and I think if you give back to people and they don't give you back anything, don't give them any more. Because my rule is if I give you 3 leads, you give me 0, you get nothing else. Because I'm not in business for anything. I don't need any more friends. I got tons of friends. I need freaking deals. I need to sell more copiers, okay? We just sold KU, K-State, Pittsburgh State, Fort Hays State, Emporia State, 1,700 copiers for $10 million. I thought the state of Kansas was bankrupt. There was a check for $10 million. So the business is out there. The business in Kansas City is booming. There's some bamboo shoots on your desk, on your tables. If you want one, grab one. Those are good luck. I hand those out on cold calls. The ladies at the front desk love them. It's a way for me to get past the receptionists because they're the gatekeepers. If you can't get past them, you're not going to get to the decision makers. And lastly, I want to tell you something else that I do. About a month ago, I took one of these bags. I carry these bags with me all the time. I call these safety bags or emergency bags, and they've got a bar of soap in them, some shampoo, a bottle of water. In the wintertime, we put hats, gloves, toothpaste, toothbrushes, all kinds of things that people can use. And I stop and I see these homeless people on the side of the road, and I feel badly for them. I'm not going to give them money because I don't think I'm going to spend the money on. But I give them these bags, and they're appreciative. So I'm under a bridge in downtown Kansas City. There's a guy over there, and I said, "Would you like one of these?" He said, "Sure, sure." He gave it to me. He said, "Would you give my buddy one?" So his buddy comes over and gives him one. Stop at the stop sign. There's a car behind me. I take off, and I drive, and I go about 4 blocks, and I park in a parking lot. This lady blocks my car. She's parked behind me. When I got out, she said, "What'd you just give that homeless guy?" I said, "I gave him one of these bags," and I showed it to her. She said, "Why'd you do that?" I said, "Well, he needs help." And I'm okay. My car has gas in it. Things are going pretty good. I got nice, clean clothes on. My wife's good to me. And she said, "What do you do for a living?" I said, "I sell copiers." I said, "You sell copiers?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, I was with a copier guy this morning. I didn't like him. So why don't you come in and see me tomorrow, and I'll buy a copier from you." So we exchanged business cards. She's an attorney, and she represents LGBT people. No sign on her door. She said, "I don't have a sign on my door because I've been threatened by other people that don't like me supporting and representing LGBT people." But she wrote me a check for $10,000 and a stinking bag of stuff. Now, the gals that make those own a place in Olathe called, I can't think of the name of it. Anyway, if you want one of these, take them. I brought 6 or 7 extra ones. If you don't feel good handing that out to somebody, I got paid back for doing this. I probably handed out 500 of these things over the last 5 years. So one last story. PetSmart in Olathe sells 18-inch stuffed animals at Christmas and Thanksgiving time at the counter for $5. They ask you to give them back, donate them back, so they can donate them to Children's Mercy Hospital, Ronald McDonald House. So last year I took 1,000 of them and handed them out to people. Bag, 40, 50 in a bag. Just to be a nice guy and help people. Took some to Shawnee Mission Health's Cancer Center, to Olathe Health's Cancer Center, to the birthing place in Olathe. Just got opened a year ago. This year I took 3,750 of these. I took them to a place called Lighthouse Child Care Center in Olathe on 135th Street. I walked in and I said, "Do you like some of these?" They said, "Yeah, we've got five operations, 5 places." So I gave them 7 or 8 bags, 400 total. They called me 2 weeks later and said, "We want to replace all of our copiers. We'd like to do it with you." I didn't do it for that reason, but that's pretty good. I sold $40,000 worth of copiers because I delivered stuffed animals. I mean, how simple can that be? See, I'm dummy. I did get a 4.0, but it took me 4 years to get that full 4.0. So I guess my point is, I love business. I love winning. I hate losing. I hate not getting a chance more than losing, because when someone buys something and they don't give me a chance, I feel like I either didn't do a very good job at letting them know what I do for a living. My wife gets tired of me in the grocery line talking to people in front of me and behind me about what I do for a living. I said, "Shelley, how do you think I pay for these groceries? This is how we do things." So last year she wanted to go to New York to shop, and I don't like to shop. I like to go buy. So we're on Wall Street, and I want to go have a picture taken with the bull. And my phone rings, and she said, "You're not going to answer that." I said, "I am." So she went to the Macy's store. I went to the bull, and I'm on the phone with this guy. He said, "Where are you?" I said, "In New York." He said, "What are those horns?" And I said, "We're downtown New York. We'll get my picture taken with the bull." He said, "Well, send me a picture of you with the bull, and when you get back to town, I'm ready to sign the order on the copiers." And I said, "Why did you give me the order?" He said, "Because you answered the phone today and you're on vacation." I said, "Well, there's no such thing as vacation in sales. So I'm telling you right now, if you don't keep your phone on 24/7, you're not like me, because I keep mine on." Because last Saturday, Union Station called me and said, "Carl, we have a dilemma. what is that? They said, we have 4 copiers and 3 of them don't have any toner. I said, okay, what do you want to do? He said, I'll meet you at the store. Your store in Lenexa. I said, no, I'll bring it to you. So I brought in toner, I put the toner in the machines, I helped him make the copies. They had 2 weddings going on Saturday night. You think you'll ever buy from anybody else but me? I don't think so. Last thing, you guys watch us drop a copier from a crane last year in front of Union Station. Anybody see that? We dropped the copier from a crane, 120 feet in the air. Belgian Cartage gave us a crane for the day. We found the worst crane, we found the worst copier in town, because we put a memo out to all the people that said, write us a little 2-paragraph story about why you should get a brand new copier. So Ad Hoc for Crime Prevention got one 2 years ago. St. Patrick's Church over in KCK got one last year. And we raised the copier 120 feet in the air with a crane. Gary Lezak is there giving the weather report. Nate Bucatey's there with his fundraising group called Big Steps. We raised $10,000 with the silent auction we had, because the Chiefs gave us stuff to auction off, the Royals gave us stuff, Sporting KC gave us stuff. We gave everybody a set of sunglasses with our name on it, because this parts are going to fly all over the place. And we dropped the copier and it smashes in a million pieces and everybody's doing and eyeing. It's really a fun deal. And I get a call on my cell phone and someone from the EPA. And they said, Mr. Little, our office is right across the street from the Union Station. Did you just drop a copier and that cloud of smoke went across into the Hallmark cards? And I said, well, that was us. And he said, well, you can't do that. I said, what do you mean? He said, you have a permit? I said, I don't have a permit. He said, well, we're going to find you. In fact, why don't you just stay where you are and we'll come over and talk to you right now. I'm scared to death. What the hell's going on here? The EPA. Well, Mike Baker is one of my best friends. He said, Carl, this is Mike Baker. No, shit, Mike. He was kidding. He was there. He was watching me from afar, and he was there having lunch with us that day. And it wasn't the EPA, it was obviously Mike just playing games with me. So, if I can help you with office equipment, please give me an opportunity. I promise we'll do it with class and character, ethical. We have 17 salespeople. We have 130 employees in Kansas City. We do a really, really good job. I have great competition in town. There's some good competitors. I won't say a bad word about any of them, but I think we're better than most. Thank you for listening today. I hope I gave you a couple of ideas on some things. If you're going to want to start a company, let me know. I might invest with you. Get permission from my wife, but you guys know how that goes. So anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate you.